And we are live! Welcome to episode 4 of
Chits and Chats.
Ooh, I love this.
I love
I love
it.
this so much.
Me too.
Honestly, we ended the previous episode where I realized that you are the love of my life.
And the love of my dreams.
And the love of my dreams. Oh, I love you. And I texted you that Monday when I got back from my birthday.
Yeah, literally almost like
When you saw my, you.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, she's ready? Is this
real?
Yeah. I couldn't
Or is it
believe it.
fake? Is someone else texting from her phone?
Literally, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, am I dreaming?
Yeah.
Like, there is no way. Because at that point, I had given up basically. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is never gonna happen.
I honestly gave up too until I had that serious conversation with my guy friend, and he was like, no, this is not how I know you. You're on my fucking ranker, okay? You will do
That's
whatever
right.
you want to do. And if, period. And if this is what you want to do and this is who you love, then you are going to go for it. And I texted you and I remember you freaked out. You replied and you freaked out. You were like, oh my goodness, like, can I see you today? Like, can I come over today? And at that time, I had to tell my roommate, Yola, I was like, Yola at this point, I think also thought I was done with it. And she was, because she really helped me like heal, and she really like talked through it with me and just also made me feel like, girl, it is okay. Even though I don't even know if she thought it was okay at the time, but for my sake, she was just like, you're fine. Like there is nothing wrong with it. Like if you need her, let her know. Text her. I'm not necessarily very happy about it because she dealt with me for 8-7
and
months.
she saw like all the
Crying
sad days
and sadness
and
helped me through it, and now she's like, oh my goodness, obviously now
back
she's
to
going
square one.
exactly. But at that time I feel like both of us really we healed ourselves, and we got to a point where we accepted ourselves first.
Oh yes.
And we were like, now we're ready to tell the world, but like now we're ready to face the facts. And at the beginning, I remember I told you, I just want to be friends. I want us to start over completely, which it never is really possible to forget about the past, but I felt like if you really deal with it and you really go through the motions and you cry it out and you laugh it out and you scream it out and you're like, okay, maybe I can look at this person, not maybe, I can now look at this person with a fresh look, a fresh vibe. Just we tried to be friends for the first 3-4 months. We really did. We said no kissing, no having sex, no none of that. We're not going to lie in bed with each other. She slept on the couch for some nights that I invited you over.
And that first, I'll never forget the first time when I was like, can I come over today, walking into your apartment and seeing Yola, who was technically, she was my friend, but I think when you guys moved in together, obviously priority was with you because you guys lived together.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen Yola in those 9 months.
And I
either.
did find a best friend in her, like I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
Not even like a sister, honestly. Like I always wanted a younger sibling, and I actually never told my parents that, but because my brother and my sister are so much older, I basically felt like an alone child.
An only child,
An only child. So when I met Yola, I was like, oh, this is probably what it feels like.
The
to have
sister you never had.
the sister
well,
I
you
never
had a sister, but
yes, like younger sister that I
Yes.
never had and wanted. And you came over that day, and we tried to be friends. I'm not gonna lie, but it was hard. It was super tough to ignore the feelings basically and try to suppress it and be like, we really are gonna start over. We're gonna start fresh, so we can't give into just being intimate with each other from the get-go.
No.
We needed to build that relationship, that loyalty, that trust. We needed to build that back up.
Absolutely.
To be able to do this again in a healthy way, and to be able to support each other.
It took some time.
It took a lot of time, because I remember you moved out of Nassau and you moved into La Rive.
Yes, because this was in my 3rd year. So basically, I remember still having the conversation with my mom, and my dad. They felt like, okay, because I was first just going to do 3 years of studies. And it was weird because literally the month before you texted me again, that's when I decided, I'm like, you know what, I am going to do my 4th year, which was the distance learning. It was like 1 year advanced diploma, and I decided that without knowing, you know, you were ever gonna text me.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just gonna do it.
It was honestly, when you were in La Rive, I felt like it was either you were gonna do your 4th year and still be in Stellenbosch, or finish out your 3rd year and leave Stellenbosch.
Because it was like a distance learning, I didn't have to be there
be
every
in
day.
Stellenbosch.
Yes.
I think you had to come in like
twice a year for like a 2-week period.
like practical stuff.
Practicals,
Yes. And God obviously was working his magic, and he knew that you had to stay there for another year. And we were friends in the beginning, but it got to a point where, and Yola could attest to this, it got to a point where I was at your apartment more than what I was at my own apartment.
Because it was basically just around the corner.
It was down the road. I
like
could
a
walk
kilometer.
to you. I could literally walk to you. That's how close we were living, which also worked out
perfectly.
Exactly how it should have. And Yola had a serious conversation with me, and she's like, girl, if you're going to be at Rudine's apartment basically every night out of the week, like, why are you paying 2.5 or 2,000
It
rand?
was 4,000 rand, I'll never forget that.
My apartment?
Yes.
But I only paid half.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought
Yola had the bigger room, so she paid a
Gotcha.
little bit more. I paid 2,000. I think she paid 2,200. So it was like 4,200 with like electricity and everything. And she was just honest, and she said, I think 1, you're wasting money, and 2, she felt like we were obviously best friends, and she felt like she kind of like lost her friend a little bit.
Of course.
And at the time, she was also finishing out her studies, and it was also her final year where she could also do distance learning. She didn't have to be in Stellenbosch, but she wanted to be there because I was there too.
Of course,
Her
yes.
best friend was there, and we honestly signed for a 2nd year in the apartment, but I was never there. And she had a serious convo with me, and she was like, just move in with Rudine. And I was like, how am I just going to move in with Rudine?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to tell my parents I'm giving up my rent, which at that time they didn't pay. So I think that was one of the main factors as well, that it didn't really bother them that much, because they weren't paying for a place that I wasn't staying at.
And you
I
were
was doing that.
Yes.
And Yola had a serious convo with me, and she's like, you could be saving that money, or you can be contributing it to something else. And I had that conversation with you. I think we should move in together.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
You know, just to also mention, I know you guys are probably wondering, like, where did my mom come into all of this?
Oh,
So,
yes.
basically, when she first texted me, we were just going to be friends.
Yeah.
I didn't like the first day that she texted me, like, tell my mom, like, okay. But I think slowly, there was only like a few weeks, maybe a month or 2 that went by, and I remember getting a message from my mom, and she obviously, I think moms just have that
They know.
instinct.
They know.
And told me, like, I know you're in contact with Ame again, and she kind of wanted to just try to influence that. And I remember just telling myself, Rudine, this is the moment where you are going to stand up for yourself.
Yes.
You are going to just tell her. And I told her straight up, I was like, thank you. I told her, yes, we are in contact, and this is what it is. And I still remember the rent, I think, was being paid by my dad or my grandpa at the time.
Dad was paying the studies. So you did feel at a point like you didn't owe her anything because she's not paying anything.
Yes. And you know, even though my grandpa, I think, also wasn't completely with the idea, but
he was like my dad almost. He just wanted you to be happy and finish out your
studies, and he was very into the education, and he's like, I'm not gonna like risk, you know, you 2 months into just a 1 year that you have to do, like just give that up. So told her that. Obviously that did not go down well, and
no,
we basically
I also
speaking.
I told my mom too, and because my mom honestly also asked me, she's like, just be honest with me. Like, we don't have to go through this whole rigmarole again where you have to feel like you need to hide anything from me. And I told her straight up like you did, because honestly you gave me a little bit, because I knew in the back of my head your situation was a little bit more tough than mine, a lot more tough than mine, honestly. And if you could do it, I could do it, you know. And my mom and dad at the second time around, they were like, are you happy? Yes. At that time my dad came around, he was like, invite her over. Like, they wanted to get to know her, and when they saw us together and they could feel that love, my mom and dad couldn't deny it. They were like, oh, these girls are going to get married. They are meant for each other. Like,
And I became so close with your parents because I feel
Yeah.
like your mom was giving me the support that I didn't get from my own mom, and that
Unconditional support and love.
was just incredible. You
Yeah.
know, like it to a point where I remember we got so close. Like her mom was like, "If you guys don't work out, like you're out and she's in."
Literally, my mom said, I love Radine so much. Like, if you guys break up or...
Soos jy gaan moet uittrek en
Ja, en
Radine is in.
Radine is in. I'm sorry, you're out. And I was like, okay, mama. Obviously, I know a part of her would never really have done that.
Yes.
But COVID hit.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
Guys,
We lived together. So honestly, we moved in together, told our parents,
yes.
and COVID hit that March of
March
2020.
20. And it was
everybody-
lockdown.
Yeah, it was lockdown. Everybody in Stellenbosch left.
Went back home, like the schools were obviously closed, like universities were closed. And I remember the first, like it was the only time you could technically leave your house is for emergencies, going
Yeah.
to the hospital, going to the grocery store.
Yes.
And
But
I
it was super limited. Like
and they could pull you over at any time and be
Anytime.
like, where are you going?
Yes.
Like you had to prove, okay, you're going here or here. And we really used that to our advantage.
Oh, we did. And I think because we were also going through a hectic time with your mom and your mom trying to break us up during that whole year, when COVID hit, I feel like we really were like, we're not going to go home. I'm not going to go stay in Onderus. You're not going to go back to Durban.
No.
And we're going to stay in Stellenbosch. It turned into a ghost town, but we made it our playground. We were like, you know what? We are going to, let me take a sip.
And it was really nice because, not obviously nice, COVID was
No.
nice, but
COVID was horrible.
what was nice in the sense is, even though my mom was feeling a type of way, we couldn't travel.
No.
There was no traveling from Cape Town to Durban. There was
No.
no flights. There was none of that.
None
You
of
couldn't even drive with your car. Like, they weren't allowing that. So it worked in our favor
It
because
did.
it was kind of like, well, it's locked down now. Like, I got to be here.
And those 5 months truly gave us the time to explore each other and get within ourselves and be like, this is what we want, this is what we need, this is what our lives are going to be from here on out.
Absolutely.
Whoever accepts it, great. Who doesn't, even greater. Or
Basically.
yeah, and we went through those 5 months. I remember, like, you were studying during the day, and then after studies,
It was amazing for my studies because
Yeah.
I'm like, I could literally focus just on my
that.
studies,
Yeah,
no external stuff. And then when I wasn't studying,
I introduced you to running, and we became avid runners.
big time. Because
in
I was
COVID.
active in high school, like I played hockey.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed it, but I feel like I completely lost the active, like, you know, going to college.
Yeah,
You're
it happens to all
partying,
of
you're
us,
drinking, like,
I
you're not
also lost
interested.
it the first year.
And when I remember you actually started like going out for runs alone a few
Yeah.
times, and you would be like, do you want to come with me? And I think the first 2-3
You were
times I'm
like,
like,
no.
no, it's
Yeah.
okay. And eventually I was like, okay, let me just go
Go.
with her.
Mhm.
And we still were Jonkershoek, we found that,
Yes.
which is like this mountain range in Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, there was no one in the town.
It was
So
a ghost town. There was no cars, no people. We had the mountain to ourselves.
to ourselves, and we went every day.
I also feel like if we didn't get into running, because running is really good for your mental health.
Oh, yes.
If we weren't able to find something as an outlet, we would have probably still struggled with the fact of, you know, your mom not speaking to you, or you know, going through that tumultuous time. It really helped us.
A
Running,
lot.
it cleared our minds. It helped you with your studies. It helped with our relationship. It brought us closer together, because I mean,
Absolutely.
couples
That's
that
one of
train
our, like,
together stay together. I believe in
Period.
that. I really believe in that.
100%.
And it made us so strong that after COVID finished and like it was done with, we were like, basically 5 months from March was like April, May, Juni, July, Augustus. August,
yes,
my
August.
birthday time, lockdown stopped, or not stopped completely, but
Just
we
sort
were
of
able.
lifting, like, the
Yes, people
rules.
came back to Stellenbosch. It was super like, wear masks. Still, you can't be more than 5 people in a room, like stuff like that.
Mhm.
And yes, and we went that that whole, so it was August, September, October, November
Mm-hmm.
is basically when you finished out your studies. Or could like give in your final things, like your
Yes.
final.
Well, actually, it was going to be November, but because we had the lockdown, it moved
It got
on a
pushed
bit.
to like
March
March.
2021.
Oh, I remember.
Because it was like I was going to graduate November. Then they said obviously we missed out on like the practical weeks we were
Yes.
going to have. So they just pushed it on. The graduation was going to be March of 2021.
Yeah.
And I remember in all of this, so even before we moved into La Rive, when I was probably in high school, like whenever I came to visit my dad in the US, it was like once a year we would switch. Like I'd come here 1 year, he would come to South Africa,
Yeah.
and we would start talking about like, you know, when you're done with studies, like wanting to go to America, and that was something that I've always wanted to do. And he started the process of the like immigration process, but I was gonna go, you know, sooner, but he was able to kind of prolong it because of COVID.
But you didn't tell me any of that. I didn't know any of that. That was happening behind the scenes.
Yes, I think it was very tough for me as well. Like, I didn't know. I was like, you know, how am I going to break this to her? Like, you know, I was just trying to soak in every moment with you. And yeah, it got to that time.
Where you finished out your studies, you had your graduation. Dad came down for your graduation.
Yeah, he came actually for the graduation of my third year. I still remember I flew to America just before the graduation ceremony, but I knew I had passed. I just wasn't there for that. And I had to tell you that I'm moving to the United States.
And that is where we are concluding episode 4. We'll see you next time. Bye.